offered her sandwich to a little girl, didn't know her father was a millionaire, and, hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. It was a typical morning at the local diner, the kind of place where regulars came in for their morning coffee and a warm meal. The air was filled with the comforting sound of clinking dishes and murmurs of conversation. Behind the counter, a young waitress named Emma moved quickly between tables, her apron stained with a little bit of everything. She had been working here for the past 2 years, juggling the demands of the restaurant and her dreams of one day opening her own art studio. As she hustled around the diner, she kept her head down, focused on the job at hand. Emma didn't expect much from life. She had grown up in a small town, and her family's financial struggles had followed her into adulthood. Despite her dreams, she found herself trapped in a cycle of dead-end jobs and long hours, always just one step away from sinking deeper into debt. But that day, as she carried a tray of pancakes to a table, something unexpected happened. A little girl, no older than 6, approached her table, holding a crumpled napkin. "Excuse me," the girl said shyly, her big brown eyes looking up at Emma. "Are you hungry?" Emma smiled, taken aback by the question. "I'm okay, sweetie," she replied softly, patting the girl's head. "But thank you." The little girl's smile faltered for a moment. Then she pulled out the sandwich from her bag and handed it to Emma. "I want you to have it. You look hungry." Emma's heart melted at the gesture. She was about to turn down the offer when she noticed the girl's worn shoes and the slight tremor in her hand. "That's very sweet of you," Emma said, accepting the sandwich with a grateful smile. The little girl beamed. "It's my dad's," she said, pointing toward the back of the diner. Emma glanced over and saw a man sitting alone at a booth, his back turned toward them. He looked unassuming, like any other regular customer. Little did Emma know, the man sitting there was the father of the little girl and, unbeknownst to her, a millionaire businessman who owned one of the largest tech companies in the country. As Emma took a bite of the sandwich, she didn't think much of it. She was just grateful for the small act of kindness in the midst of her long, tiring day. What she didn't realize was that this simple act of generosity would change her life forever. The man in the booth was watching her from a distance, a thoughtful expression on his face. He had seen the kindness in her eyes, and he was about to discover that this waitress, who seemed so ordinary, would play a key role in his life, in a way neither of them could have imagined. The days following the simple act of kindness continued to unfold in the small town where Emma worked. The routine of early mornings and late nights at the diner didn't change much, but for Emma, something had shifted. She had gone through life believing that the little things she did didn't matter, that her struggles were just part of her fate. But when she had given her sandwich to the little girl, something inside her had felt different. It wasn't just about feeding someone else. It was about connection. It was about offering something small that could make a difference. But Emma had no idea that her act of kindness would soon become a pivotal moment in her life. 1 week later, she was working her usual shift when she noticed the man from the booth again. This time, he was standing near the counter, looking at the menu. Emma glanced over at him, and before she could look away, he caught her eye. His expression was different this time. There was a hint of recognition, like he knew something she didn't. He walked up to the counter, and Emma couldn't help but feel nervous. He had a calm confidence about him, a presence that was hard to ignore. "Excuse me," he said, his voice warm but direct. "I never properly introduced myself. My name is David Carter." Emma smiled politely. "I'm Emma." "I know," he said, as though it was a well-known fact. "I've been meaning to thank you for what you did the other day, for giving my daughter your sandwich. She told me you were kind enough to share with her." Emma blushed slightly, not used to receiving praise for something she considered so small. "It was nothing," she said, shrugging it off. "She seemed like she needed it more than me." David's smile softened. "Kindness like that doesn't go unnoticed." He paused for a moment, as if considering something. "I wanted to offer you something. You've been a real blessing to my daughter, and I would like to repay you for your kindness." Emma, still unsure of where this was going, felt a bit uneasy. Repay me? I didn't do anything that big. I just gave her a sandwich. I know, David said with a chuckle. But sometimes it's the small things that make the biggest impact. I want to offer you a job. I think you would be a great fit for the team at my foundation. We're looking for someone with your heart, someone who values helping others. Emma stared at him, surprised by his offer. Wait, what? You want to hire me? Yes, David confirmed. You have a kind soul, Emma, and I've been looking for someone like you. Emma blinked in disbelief. But I've never worked at a foundation. I don't have the experience you're looking for. David smiled again, his confidence unwavering. You don't need experience. You have something far more valuable: compassion. That's the kind of person I need on my team. Emma was taken aback. The idea of leaving her diner job and stepping into a world she wasn't familiar with seemed daunting, but the offer felt like an opportunity she couldn't ignore. I don't know what to say, Emma stammered. It's a lot to think about. David nodded, understanding her hesitation. Take your time, he said, his tone reassuring. But just know that the offer is there. It's a chance to make a real difference, and you deserve that. As he turned to leave, Emma found herself staring after him. She had always dreamed of something more, of finding a way out of the constant cycle of struggle. But this offer felt like it came from nowhere. Could this really be her chance? Over the next few days, Emma couldn't stop thinking about the offer. She had always wanted to do something meaningful with her life, but she never imagined it would come in such an unexpected way. The more she thought about it, the more she realized that it wasn't just the job itself that was appealing. It was the idea of having the chance to make a real difference, to step outside her small world and into something bigger. But even with the excitement, she had her doubts. What if she wasn't good enough? What if she couldn't handle it? Emma spent the next few days weighing the decision. She talked to her best friend, Jenny, who encouraged her to take the leap. This could be your chance to do something amazing, Em, Jenny said. You won't know unless you try. Finally, after much contemplation, Emma made up her mind. She decided to accept David's offer. It was a risk, yes, but sometimes the greatest opportunities come disguised as the biggest challenges. The next few days felt like a whirlwind for Emma. She had made the decision to accept David's offer, but she couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty. She had never imagined herself in a position like this, working for a foundation, let alone working for a millionaire businessman. The reality of her decision began to settle in as she prepared to leave her old job at the diner. It felt like she was stepping into a new world, a world she had only dreamed of. The day she walked into the headquarters of David's foundation, Emma was both excited and nervous. The building was sleek and modern, far more sophisticated than anything she had ever seen. As she walked through the lobby, she was greeted by the receptionist, a woman who seemed so polished and confident. "You must be Emma," the receptionist said with a smile. "Mr. Carter is expecting you. Let me show you to his office." Emma nodded, trying to keep her composure. She followed the receptionist through a maze of hallways, each one more impressive than the last. The walls were adorned with inspiring quotes, and the floors gleamed with a shine that made her feel out of place. When they reached David's office, Emma took a deep breath. She had no idea what to expect, but she was determined to make the most of this opportunity. David stood up when she entered, his smile warm but professional. "Emma, it's good to see you again," he said, shaking her hand. "Welcome to the team." "Thank you for giving me this chance," Emma said, feeling a bit overwhelmed. "I'm excited to be here." David motioned for her to take a seat. "I'm glad to hear that. I know this is a big step for you, but I have no doubt you'll do great things here. Our foundation focuses on helping people in need, and I think your compassion is exactly what we need." Emma couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. She had never considered herself particularly special, but now, sitting in this office, she realized that maybe her kindness was something worth valuing. David continued, "I'm going to start you off with a few projects. Nothing too complicated, but I want to see how you handle the work. You'll be working closely with our team to develop community outreach programs, and I think your experience with people will be invaluable." Emma nodded, eager to get started. She spent the next few days shadowing members of the team, learning the ins and outs of the foundation's operations. It wasn't easy, and there were moments when she felt like an outsider, but she was determined to prove herself. The more she got involved, the more she realized how much she could contribute. David's faith in her was a constant reminder of the potential he saw in her, and she was starting to see it in herself too. One afternoon, while she was organizing a charity event, she overheard a conversation between two of the other employees. "I don't know why Mr. Carter chose her," one of them said. "She's just a waitress. She doesn't have the experience we're looking for." Emma felt a pang of insecurity. She had always known that her lack of experience could be a hindrance, but hearing others talk about it made her doubt herself. She wasn't like them. She hadn't gone to college. She didn't have a fancy resume. And she wasn't used to this world of wealth and privilege. But as she stood there, listening to the whispers, something inside her clicked. She didn't need to be like them. She was Emma, and she had something they didn't: real, genuine compassion. She wasn't here because of her resume or her background. She was here because David believed in her, and that was enough. The next day, David called her into his office. "I've been impressed with your work so far, Emma," he said. "You've taken on every task with dedication and heart. I think you're ready for a bigger challenge." Emma's heart raced. "What kind of challenge?" David smiled, a glint of excitement in his eyes. "I want you to lead the next community outreach initiative. You'll be working directly with local schools to develop after-school programs for underprivileged children. I think you're the perfect person for this." Emma was stunned. Leading a project like this was no small task, but she couldn't deny the excitement that bubbled up inside her. This was the opportunity she had been waiting for. She was finally going to make a real difference. "I won't let you down," she said, feeling a newfound sense of confidence. David smiled. "I know you won't." As Emma left the office that day, she felt a surge of gratitude. She had taken a leap of faith, and now she was finally seeing the fruits of her decision. She was no longer just a waitress in a small town. She was a part of something bigger, something that would allow her to change lives, starting with her own. The days following Emma's promotion were a whirlwind of excitement and challenges. She had barely settled into her new role when the reality of leading the community outreach initiative hit her. The project was bigger than anything she had ever tackled, but Emma was determined to prove herself. She had always dreamed of helping others, of making a difference in the lives of those who needed it most. Now, she had the chance to do just that. As she prepared for the first meeting with the school administrators, Emma felt a mixture of nervousness and excitement. She had spent weeks organizing the program, coordinating with local schools, and making sure everything was in place. The pressure was on, but she was ready. The morning of the meeting, Emma walked into the conference room, her heart pounding in her chest. She was greeted by a group of school officials, all of them looking at her expectantly. Among them was a woman named Sandra, the principal of a local middle school. Sandra had been a bit skeptical of the program at first, unsure of how a small foundation like theirs could make a real impact on her students. But Emma had worked hard to win her over, showing her the passion and commitment behind the program. "Thank you for coming, Emma," Sandra said, shaking her hand. "I've heard a lot of good things about the program. I'm interested to see how it will benefit our students." Emma smiled nervously. "Thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with you. I believe this program can really make a difference." As the meeting progressed, Emma found herself gaining more and more confidence. She presented her ideas, outlining the goals of the program and how it would provide after-school support for students who needed it most. She spoke about the importance of mentorship, tutoring, and providing a safe space for kids to learn and grow. The room was quiet as they listened, but Emma could see the nods of approval from the administrators. By the time the meeting ended, Sandra was smiling, clearly impressed. "You've done your homework, Emma," she said. "I think we can make this work." The feeling of accomplishment that washed over Emma was overwhelming. She had done it. She had taken the first step toward making a real difference in the lives of these kids. As she left the meeting, she couldn't help but smile. She had come so far in such a short amount of time, and now she was truly beginning to see the impact of her work. Back at the foundation, Emma continued to pour her heart into the project. She worked late nights, organizing volunteers, reaching out to local businesses for donations, and coordinating with the schools to make sure the program ran smoothly. It wasn't easy, but she was used to hard work. This time, however, the work felt different. It felt meaningful. One afternoon, as she was reviewing some paperwork, Her phone buzzed with a message from David. "How's everything going?" it read. Emma smiled as she typed her response. "It's going great. We've got everything in place for the first session next week. I'm really excited." David's reply was almost immediate. "I knew you'd do well. You've got a real gift for this, Emma. Keep it up." His words meant more to her than she could express. She had worked hard to earn his trust. And now, seeing his belief in her, she felt a sense of pride she hadn't experienced in a long time. As the weeks passed, Emma's program began to grow. More schools signed on, more volunteers joined, and the students who participated began to thrive. The stories of success and progress came flooding in, and with each success, Emma felt a little more like she belonged in this world. But it wasn't just about the work. It was about the people she was helping, the kids who now had a place to go after school, where they could feel safe, learn, and grow. For Emma, that was the most rewarding part. One afternoon, after a long day of meetings, Emma walked to the parking lot, ready to go home. As she reached her car, she heard someone calling her name. She turned to find Sandra walking toward her, a big smile on her face. "I just wanted to thank you again, Emma," Sandra said. "The kids have been talking about the program non-stop. It's been a game changer for them." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She had worked so hard for this moment, and hearing that it was making a difference was all she needed to hear. "I'm so glad to hear that," Emma said, her voice filled with emotion. "I just want to help as much as I can." Sandra placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're doing more than helping, Emma. You're changing lives." Those words, simple yet powerful, stayed with Emma long after the conversation ended. She had gone from a waitress in a small town to someone who was making a real impact on the world. And it wasn't just because of her kindness, it was because she believed in herself, in her ability to make a difference. As she drove home that evening, Emma couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude for everything that had happened. She had found her purpose, and she was determined to continue making the world a better place, one small act of kindness at a time. As the weeks passed, Emma continued to pour herself into the community outreach program, watching it grow day by day. She had come so far, from a waitress with no real direction to a leader of a project that was making a tangible difference in her community. The program was running smoothly, and Emma was beginning to feel like she had finally found her place in the world. But even with the success, Emma was still struggling to shake the feeling that she didn't belong. There were moments when doubt crept in, when she wondered if she was really cut out for this kind of work. It was one of those moments that came after a long day of meetings. She had just finished speaking with a group of school principals about expanding the program when she received a call from David. "How's everything going, Emma?" he asked, his voice warm and steady. "Everything's great," Emma replied, forcing a smile. "But I have to admit, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. There's so much to do, and I'm not sure I'm handling it all as well as I should be." David's tone softened. "Emma, you're doing more than most people could even dream of. You've transformed this program. You've created something that's making a real impact. You're leading people, and you're helping kids who need it. Don't let the pressure get to you. You're exactly where you need to be." Emma took a deep breath, grateful for David's encouragement. He always knew the right thing to say to put her at ease. "Thanks, David. I appreciate that. I guess I still feel like I'm not good enough for this, like I'm just pretending to be someone I'm not." David's voice was gentle, but firm. "You're not pretending, Emma. You're being yourself. That's why this works. You have something real to offer, your kindness, your compassion, your heart. That's what makes you stand out. Don't forget that." Emma sat in silence for a moment, reflecting on his words. It was easy to get caught up in the responsibilities of the job, to focus on the tasks at hand. But David was right. The reason she was succeeding wasn't because of her credentials or experience, it was because of the heart she put into everything she did. The next day, Emma walked into the office with a renewed sense of confidence. She was still feeling the weight of the responsibility, but she knew she was capable. As she sat down at her desk, her phone buzzed with a new message. It was from Sandra, the principal of the local middle school. "We've had a breakthrough," the message read. "Our after-school program is now fully booked. The students are excited, and we've seen a noticeable improvement in their grades and behavior." Emma's heart swelled with pride. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the moment that proved all the hard work was paying off. She quickly typed back, "That's amazing! I'm so glad to hear that. Please tell the students I'm proud of them." As the days turned into weeks, more schools joined the program, and the impact continued to grow. Emma received messages from teachers, parents, and even students, all expressing their gratitude for the opportunity the program provided. She had become a symbol of hope in the community, a reminder that one small act of kindness could ripple out and change lives. But even with all the success, Emma remained grounded. She knew that this was only the beginning. There was so much more to be done, and with David's support, she felt ready to take on whatever came next. One evening, after a particularly long day, Emma sat in her apartment, reflecting on everything that had happened. She thought back to the day she had given that sandwich to David's daughter, to the simple act of kindness that had set everything in motion. She had no idea at the time how much that moment would change her life. She had no idea that one small gesture could lead to a whole new chapter of her story. As she sat there, her phone rang again. It was David. "I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing," he said. "I've been hearing great things about the program. You're really making a difference, Emma." Emma smiled as she spoke. "It's all coming together. I can't believe how far we've come." "You've done something incredible," David said, "and I'm proud of you. Keep going. I know you're just getting started." Emma felt a sense of warmth spread through her. She had worked so hard for this moment, and it was more than she could have ever imagined. She was no longer just a waitress. She was a leader, a changemaker, someone who had the power to shape the future. And for the first time in a long time, Emma felt truly at home in her own skin. As Emma continued to lead the community outreach program, her confidence grew. She was seeing the results of her hard work in the eyes of the children she was helping, in the teachers who thanked her, and in the community members who now trusted her leadership. But with success came more challenges. And Emma knew that she couldn't afford to let her guard down. As the program expanded, Emma found herself facing tougher decisions. New schools were eager to join, but the funding was limited, and she was tasked with finding ways to make it all work. She spent countless hours reaching out to local businesses for donations, brainstorming ways to raise money, and working late into the night to keep everything running smoothly. Despite the mounting pressure, Emma never wavered in her commitment to the cause. She had always believed that helping others was her true calling, and now she was seeing how one person's effort could create a ripple effect of positive change. It wasn't easy, but she found joy in the small victories along the way. One day, while she was working late in the office, she received an unexpected phone call. It was David. "Hey, Emma," he said, his voice light and casual. "How's everything going with the program?" "I've been hearing great things." Emma smiled, feeling a sense of pride. "It's going really well. We've expanded to 3 more schools, and the kids are thriving. It's amazing to see how much they've grown." "That's fantastic," David replied. "But I know it's been a lot on your plate. Are you managing okay?" Emma hesitated for a moment, the weight of everything starting to settle on her shoulders. "I'm managing," she said, her voice quieter than usual. "But it's a lot. Some days, I wonder if I'm really cut out for all of this." There was a pause on the other end of the line before David spoke again. "Emma, you're doing an incredible job. You've come so far, and you've built something that's changing lives. Don't let the pressure make you doubt yourself. You're exactly where you need to be." Emma felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. David's words always had a way of lifting her spirits. "Thanks, David. I needed to hear that." "Anytime," he said with a chuckle. "Just don't burn yourself out, okay? Take a break when you need to." Emma laughed softly. "I'll try." As they hung up, Emma took a deep breath and looked around the office. She had come a long way since that first day, and despite the challenges, she knew she was doing something important. The next day, Emma was at another school meeting, discussing new ways to improve the program. As usual, she was nervous, but the students' excitement and enthusiasm gave her the strength she needed to keep going. As the meeting came to a close, the principal of the school approached her with a smile. "Emma, I just wanted to thank you for everything you've done for our students. We've already seen such a positive change in their behavior and their grades. You've made a real difference." Emma's heart swelled with pride. "Thank you. That means the world to me." As she left the meeting, Emma's phone buzzed again. It was a text from Sandra, the principal from the middle school. "The kids are talking about you." The message read, "You've become an inspiration to them. Thank you for everything." Emma felt a lump in her throat as she read the message. This was what she had always wanted, to make a difference in the lives of others. And now, she was doing it. As the program continued to grow, Emma found herself at the forefront of something much bigger than she had ever imagined. She had gone from a waitress with no direction to a leader who was changing lives. And as she looked back on everything she had accomplished, she realized that it wasn't just the program that had grown, it was her. She had grown into someone who believed in herself, in her ability to make a difference, and in the power of kindness. One evening, as Emma sat in her apartment, reflecting on her journey, her phone buzzed again. It was David. "I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing," he said. "You've been working hard, and I wanted to make sure you're taking care of yourself." Emma smiled as she typed her response. "I'm doing great. The program is expanding, and the kids are thriving. I couldn't ask for anything more." David's reply was quick. "You're making a real impact, Emma. I'm proud of everything you've accomplished." Emma felt a wave of gratitude wash over her once again. It wasn't just the work that mattered. It was the people, the relationships, and the difference they were all making together. As Emma lay in bed that night, she thought about how far she had come, about how one small act of kindness had changed everything. And as she drifted off to sleep, she felt more certain than ever that this was just the beginning. As Emma sat at her desk late one evening, she couldn't help but reflect on how far she had come. The community outreach program was thriving. The children were benefiting from the after-school initiatives, and she had established meaningful relationships with the people who had once seemed so far out of reach. The program's success had even caught the attention of local media, with articles highlighting the positive changes in the schools and the neighborhoods they served. But as much as she was proud of what they had achieved, Emma felt the pressure mounting. It had been months since she started this journey, and with each new success, there seemed to be more challenges. The stakes were higher now, and Emma could feel the weight of the responsibility on her shoulders. One morning, after a particularly intense meeting about expanding the program to more schools, Emma received a call from David. "How are things going, Emma?" David asked, his tone light but concerned. Emma sighed, leaning back in her chair. "It's going well, but it's getting overwhelming. There's so much to do, and I'm feeling the pressure. I'm not sure how much more I can handle." There was a brief pause on the other end of the line before David spoke again, his voice steady. "Emma, I know this is a lot, but I want you to remember something. You're doing incredible work, and you're making a real difference. I've seen the impact you've had, not just on the kids, but on the entire community. You're stronger than you realize." Emma could feel a sense of relief wash over her, even though she was still exhausted. David's words always had a way of calming her when she felt like she was about to break. "I'm trying," Emma said quietly, "but some days I don't feel like I'm enough." "You're more than enough," David reassured her. "You've built something from the ground up and you've done it with heart. Don't lose sight of that. And remember, you don't have to do everything alone. You have a team behind you. Lean on them when you need to." Emma nodded, feeling a renewed sense of strength. "Thank you, David. I really needed to hear that." "Of course," David replied. "You're doing amazing things. Just take it one step at a time. I'm proud of you." As they hung up, Emma sat for a moment in silence, reflecting on David's words. She had always been someone who took on everything herself, never asking for help. But now, she was beginning to realize that she didn't have to carry the weight alone. There were people who believed in her, and it was okay to lean on them. Later that afternoon, Emma met with her team to discuss the next steps for the program. They had big plans for the future, but Emma was starting to see that she couldn't do it all by herself. "We're doing great, but there's still a lot of work to be done," Emma said, addressing the group. "We need to stay focused, and I need everyone's support. If we're going to expand the program further, we'll need more resources, more volunteers, and more partnerships." One of the team members, Sarah, spoke up. "Emma, we're all here to help. You don't have to carry this burden alone. We've got your back." Emma looked around the room at the faces of her team members. They had all worked tirelessly to make the program a success, and they believed in her vision. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she wasn't just leading the program, she was part of a team, a community of people who were all working toward the same goal. With their support, she felt like she could take on whatever challenges lay ahead. As the meeting ended, Emma felt a sense of clarity. She didn't have to be perfect, and she didn't have to do it all on her own. She had people around her who cared, and together, they could accomplish anything. A few days later, Emma was walking through the school halls when she was approached by one of the teachers. "Emma, I just wanted to thank you again for everything," the teacher said. "The kids are doing so much better. Their confidence is up, their grades are improving, and they're excited to come to school every day." Emma's heart swelled with pride. "That's amazing to hear," she said. "It's all thanks to the hard work of the team and the kids themselves. They're the ones making the real change." As she walked away from the conversation, Emma felt a renewed sense of purpose. She had worked so hard to get here, and she wasn't about to let the pressures of leadership take away from the impact she was having. She had found her place, and she was making a difference, one child at a time. Later that evening, as Emma sat down to dinner at home, she received another message from David. "Just checking in to see how you're doing," it read. "I'm really proud of everything you've accomplished. You're a force of nature, Emma." A smile spread across Emma's face as she read the message. She had come so far, and though the journey wasn't over, she knew that she was exactly where she was meant to be. As the weeks continued to pass, Emma's confidence in herself and her abilities grew. The outreach program was not only expanding rapidly, but it was also making a deeper impact than she had ever anticipated. More schools had signed on, and the results were undeniable. Grades were improving, attendance was up, and most importantly, the students were feeling more motivated and hopeful about their futures. However, with the success came new challenges, ones that Emma hadn't quite prepared for. While she had grown accustomed to managing the daily operations of the program, now there were more eyes on her local politicians, school board members, and even national philanthropists. There were moments when she felt like the weight of the world was on her shoulders. One morning, Emma received a call from Sandra, the principal of the middle school, who had been one of the program's biggest supporters. "Emma, we need to talk." Sandra's voice was filled with urgency. "There's been some pushback from the school district. They're questioning the long-term sustainability of the program, especially with the additional schools we've taken on. They're concerned about the funding." Emma's stomach tightened as she listened. This was exactly what she had feared. Now that the program had gained momentum, the financial backing was becoming an issue. "What are we going to do?" Emma asked, her voice shaky. "We can't let this opportunity slip away. The kids are depending on us." Sandra paused before speaking. "We need to demonstrate to them that this program has lasting value, not just for the kids, but for the entire community. We need more community involvement, and we need to show them the data that proves the program's success." "I agree," Emma said, determination beginning to replace her fear. "I'll put together a proposal with all the success metrics. We'll show them how much this program is changing lives." That afternoon, Emma sat down with her team and mapped out the next steps. She wasn't about to let the program she had worked so hard to build crumble because of financial concerns. Together, they worked tirelessly to compile data testimonials from teachers, parents, and students, improved attendance rates, and increased academic performance. They included financial projections showing that with continued support, the program could sustain itself and even grow. After a long week of preparation, Emma presented the proposal to the school district board. Her heart pounded in her chest as she stood before the group of skeptical administrators. As she began speaking, she realized how much she had grown in this role. Gone was the unsure young woman who had nervously agreed to lead this initiative. Now, she stood confidently, presenting a vision that was bigger than herself. "This program has already had a profound impact on our students," Emma said, her voice steady. "We've seen increased attendance, better grades, and more importantly, we've given these children hope. Hope for a better future. A future they can now see for themselves." She shared the data her team had gathered, showing the tangible improvements the program had made, not just academically, but socially and emotionally as well. The board listened intently, and when she finished, there was a long pause before one of the administrators spoke up. "This is impressive, Emma. You've shown us that this program is truly making a difference, but we still have concerns about long-term funding. What happens when the donations slow down?" Emma had anticipated this question. "We've already laid the groundwork for sustainable partnerships with local businesses and community leaders," she replied confidently. "We're not just relying on donations, We're building a network of support that will continue to grow and evolve with the program. This is a community effort, and it will continue to thrive as long as we all work together." The room fell silent again as the board members exchanged glances. After what felt like an eternity, the chairperson spoke. "We're impressed with what you've accomplished, Emma. We'll approve continued funding for the program, with the condition that you continue to engage with the community and ensure that it remains financially viable." Emma felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had done it. She had done it. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I promise we'll keep working to make this program even better." As she left the meeting, Emma felt like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She had faced the toughest challenge yet and had come out on top. But more than that, she had learned something about herself, that she was capable of more than she had ever realized. That evening, Emma called David to share the good news. "We did it," she exclaimed when he answered. "The board approved continued funding for the program. They want us to keep growing, and we've proven that it works." David's voice was full of pride. "I knew you could do it, Emma. You've worked so hard, and now everyone can see the impact you're making." "It's not just me," Emma said, her voice humble. "It's the whole team. We're all in this together." David chuckled. "That's why it works. You've built something truly special." Emma smiled, her heart full. She knew there was still a long road ahead, but for the first time, she felt like she could handle anything. The challenges weren't over, but she was no longer afraid. With her team by her side and the community behind her, Emma knew she could continue making a real difference, one child at a time. As Emma stood before the group of school district officials, her hands were clammy, her mind racing. She had never been more nervous in her life. This was the big moment where everything could either fall apart or move forward. The proposal she had worked so hard on was now in their hands. The stakes were higher than ever. The community outreach program had already achieved incredible success, and now the challenge was to make it sustainable, to show the school board that this was something that could last. Emma cleared her throat, her voice steadying as she began to speak. "Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to review the proposal we've put together. As you know, our program has been changing lives. We've seen increased attendance, improved grades, and, most importantly, hope in students who never had it before. But the most important part of our story is that we are just getting started." She paused for a moment, letting her words sink in. She could see the skeptical expressions on some of their faces, the hesitation that lingered in the air. "I know there have been concerns about funding, about whether we can maintain this level of success in the long term, and I understand those concerns. But I want to remind you all that this isn't just about money, it's about the future of our children, the future of our community." Emma took a deep breath, feeling a renewed sense of determination. "We've already seen the impact of this program, but what happens next depends on us. We have the opportunity to change the trajectory of these kids' lives, but we can't do it alone. We need your support, not just financially, but in spirit. We need the entire community to get behind this." She paused again, her gaze meeting the eyes of each of the board members. "This isn't just a school project. This is a community movement. It's something that we all have a stake in, and together, we can make it work." The room was silent for a moment, and Emma felt her heart pounding in her chest. It felt like an eternity before one of the board members spoke up. "We appreciate your passion, Emma," he said, his tone thoughtful. "But I have to ask, what's your plan if the funding doesn't continue? How will this program survive in the long run?" Emma nodded, expecting the question. "We've already started working on building partnerships with local businesses and organizations. We're reaching out to community leaders for ongoing support, and we're also exploring ways to create more sustainable funding streams through grants and fundraising events. This is a long-term effort, and we're committed to making it work, no matter what it takes." Another board member spoke up, her voice tinged with skepticism. "I'm still not convinced that this program will be able to scale up. You're already working with a large number of schools. How will you manage if even more sign on?" Emma smiled, feeling the confidence of her previous conversations with her team and her supporters. "I understand the concern, but we have a strong team in place, and we've already started putting systems in place to manage expansion. We're not just focusing on growth, we're focusing on quality. We want to make sure that every student who participates in this program is receiving the best possible experience." There was another long silence as the board members deliberated among themselves. Emma felt a wave of anxiety rising in her chest. She knew the importance of this meeting, but she refused to give in to her doubts. After what felt like an eternity, the board chairperson looked up and spoke. "Emma, I have to admit, I'm impressed. You've clearly put a lot of thought into this, and you've shown us that this program has already made a significant impact. We're willing to approve continued funding, with the understanding that you'll keep us updated on your progress and continue to engage with the community for support." Emma's heart leapt in her chest. She had done it. She had convinced them. "Thank you so much," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I promise we won't let you down. We'll continue to work hard and make this program the success it deserves to be." As she left the meeting, Emma felt a sense of relief wash over her. She had faced her biggest challenge yet, and she had come out on top. But more than that, she realized something about herself. She wasn't just the person who had started this program, she was a leader, someone who could stand in front of a room full of powerful people and make her case. She was capable of handling whatever came next. That evening, Emma called David to share the good news. "We did it," she exclaimed. "The board approved continued funding. They want us to keep growing." David's voice was full of pride. "I knew you could do it, Emma. You've worked so hard for this." "I couldn't have done it without the team," Emma replied, her gratitude evident. "We've built something incredible together." "That's the key," David said. "It's about building a community, not just a program. You've done that, Emma, and I'm so proud of you." Emma felt a deep sense of pride as she hung up the phone. She had faced doubt, fear, and opposition, but she had pushed through it. She had learned that she was capable of more than she had ever imagined. And with that realization, she knew that nothing could stop her now. The program was just the beginning. There was so much more to do, and Emma was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the days went by, Emma felt a renewed sense of purpose. The approval of continued funding from the school board had been a huge win, but she knew that the real work was just beginning. The pressure was mounting, more schools were joining the program, and the community's expectations were higher than ever. Emma threw herself into the work with the same passion and dedication that had gotten her this far. But there were moments when the weight of it all threatened to pull her under. One evening, while reviewing reports on the program's expansion, Emma felt a wave of exhaustion wash over her. She had been working non-stop, juggling meetings, phone calls, and long hours at the office. The success of the program was undeniable, but she had begun to feel like she was losing sight of why she started this journey in the first place. It wasn't about the accolades or the recognition. It was about making a difference in the lives of the children she served. But as the program grew, the pressures of leadership were becoming harder to bear. Just as she was about to close her laptop for the night, she received a text message from Sandra, the principal of the middle school. "I need to talk to you," it read. "It's important." Emma's heart sank. Sandra's message had an urgency to it that made her immediately concerned. She quickly picked up the phone and called Sandra back. "Sandra, what's going on?" she asked, her voice tinged with worry. "Emma, we've had a bit of a setback," Sandra said, her tone heavy. "One of the schools we've been working with is pulling out of the program. They're citing funding issues, and they're not sure they can continue participating." Emma's stomach twisted. "But we've already been working with them for months. Why now?" "They're struggling financially, and they don't think they can justify the expense any longer," Sandra explained. "I tried to reassure them, but they're firm in their decision. I wanted to let you know as soon as possible." Emma was silent for a moment, processing the news. The loss of even one school felt like a major blow, and she knew it would have a ripple effect. "This can't be happening," Emma said under her breath. "I can't let this setback undo everything we've worked for." Sandra's voice softened. "I know, Emma, but don't give up. We've come so far, and one school pulling out doesn't change the progress we've made." Emma took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "You're right. We can't let this knock us off course. We've got a lot of people counting on us." The conversation ended with a promise to find a solution. But Emma knew that the next few weeks were going to be even more challenging than she had anticipated. As she lay in bed that night, Emma couldn't shake the feeling of doubt creeping in. What if more schools started to pull out? What if the program wasn't as sustainable as she had thought? The weight of the responsibility was starting to feel like too much. But in the quiet of the night, Emma reminded herself of why she had started this journey in the first place. It wasn't just about numbers and funding. It was about the kids who depended on the program. She couldn't let them down. The next day, Emma called a meeting with her team. They needed to come up with a plan to address the funding issue and make sure the program remained strong. "We've had a setback," Emma began, her voice steady but filled with concern. "One of the schools has decided to pull out of the program due to financial issues. We need to figure out how we're going to handle this." Her team listened attentively, and Emma could see the determination in their eyes. They had all worked so hard, and they weren't about to let this setback stop them. "We need to go to the community for support," one of the team members, Sarah, suggested. "We've always relied on outside funding, but maybe it's time to turn to local businesses, parents, and other organizations. If we can show them how much the program means to the kids, we might be able to secure the support we need." "That's a great idea," Emma said. "We'll need to get creative. We can organize fundraising events, get local businesses involved, and even start a campaign to raise awareness about the importance of the program." The team rallied together, brainstorming ideas for how to secure the program's future. Emma knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she had a renewed sense of purpose. They weren't going to let one school's decision derail everything they had worked for. Over the next few weeks, Emma and her team worked tirelessly to raise funds and build new partnerships. They hosted community events, reached out to local businesses, and launched a social media campaign to raise awareness about the program. Slowly but surely, they began to gain traction. Donations started coming in, and new schools reached out to join the program. It wasn't easy, but Emma knew that this was just another hurdle they had to overcome. And with the support of her team, she felt more confident than ever that they could continue to make a real difference. One evening, after a long day of meetings and calls, Emma received a message from David. "Just wanted to check in," it said. "How are things going?" Emma smiled as she typed her response. "It's been tough, but we're pushing through. We've had a setback, but I think we're turning things around." David's reply was quick. "I knew you'd find a way. You're not just a leader, you're a force." Emma felt a sense of pride swell in her chest. David's words were a reminder of how far she had come, and how much further she was capable of going. She wasn't just going to get through this, she was going to thrive. As she looked at the progress they had made, Emma knew that the road ahead would always have challenges, but she was ready to face them head-on. The program was going to succeed, no matter what it took. With the program slowly gaining momentum again, Emma felt a renewed sense of purpose. The setbacks they had faced seemed small in comparison to the progress they were making. The fundraising events had been a success, local businesses had stepped up, and donations were pouring in. Still, Emma couldn't shake the nagging feeling that the journey ahead was going to be full of unforeseen challenges. As she sat at her desk one afternoon, reviewing the success of the recent fundraising campaign, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Sandra, the principal of the middle school. "We need to talk," it read. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't heard from Sandra in a few days, and she wondered what the message was about. She quickly picked up the phone and dialed Sandra's number. "Sandra, what's going on?" she asked, trying to keep her voice calm. "Emma, we've had another issue," Sandra replied, her voice heavy. "One of the other schools is questioning whether the program is really making a difference. They're seeing results, but they're wondering if it's sustainable in the long run. They're talking about pulling out." Emma's stomach tightened. Another school? After all the hard work they had put in to secure funding and momentum, the idea of losing another partner school was too much to bear. "Why now?" "We've been seeing progress. The kids' grades are improving. Attendance is up." "What's going on?" she asked, her voice strained. "I know, Emma, but they're worried about the long-term impact," Sandra explained. "They want proof that the results will last, and they're concerned about the sustainability of the program beyond the immediate success." Emma's mind raced. This was the last thing they needed. She couldn't afford to lose another school. "We can't let this happen, Sandra," Emma said, determination creeping into her voice. "We've worked too hard for this. I'll meet with them. I'll make sure they understand the value of the program." "I'll set up the meeting," Sandra replied. "We can't lose this school. I'll be there with you." The next day, Emma met with the school's administration to address their concerns. The room was filled with skeptical faces, but Emma was resolute. She had spent countless hours building this program, and she wasn't about to let one doubt undo all of their progress. As she sat down in front of the school board, she felt the weight of their expectations bearing down on her. She cleared her throat and began. "I understand your concerns about the long-term sustainability of this program," Emma said. "But I want to assure you that the success we've seen so far is not just a temporary spike. We've built a foundation that's not only sustainable, but also adaptable. The results we're seeing, improved attendance, higher grades, more engaged students, are a direct reflection of the work we've put in, and the community is behind us. Local businesses, parents, and even other schools are supporting this initiative." She paused for a moment, allowing the room to absorb her words. "But it's not just about numbers," Emma continued. "It's about the kids. We've given them a chance to succeed when they might not have had one. And we have the resources, the partnerships, and the will to keep this going." A long silence followed as the school board members exchanged glances. Emma held her breath, hoping her words had made an impact. Finally, one of the board members spoke up. "You've convinced us, Emma. We can see the results, and we believe in the mission of this program. We'll continue our partnership, but we'll need regular updates on the program's progress to ensure that we're meeting our long-term goals." Emma exhaled, feeling a wave of relief wash over her. "Thank you," she said, her voice full of gratitude. "I won't let you down. We'll make sure this program continues to grow and thrive." As she left the meeting, Emma couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. They had won this battle, but she knew there would be more challenges ahead. The program was growing, and with growth came new obstacles. But Emma was no longer afraid of the unknown. She had faced setbacks before and come out stronger. She could handle whatever came next. Back at the office, Emma shared the good news with her team. The room erupted into applause, and Emma felt a deep sense of pride. This wasn't just her victory, it was the team's victory. They had all worked together to get here. "We did it!" Sarah, one of her team members, exclaimed. "This is huge. We're unstoppable." Emma smiled, feeling the weight of the past few weeks lift from her shoulders. "We're not done yet," she replied. "We still have a lot of work to do, but we've proven that we can make this program succeed." As the team celebrated, Emma couldn't help but think about how far she had come. She had started this journey as a waitress, unsure of her place in the world. Now, she was leading a successful program that was changing lives. And as long as she had the support of her team, the community, and her own unwavering determination, she knew they could continue to make a difference for years to come. After the triumph of securing continued partnerships and the commitment from the school district, Emma felt like she was truly in control. The community outreach program was not just surviving, it was thriving. Emma's leadership had been tested time and again, and with each obstacle, she had emerged stronger. Yet, as the program grew, Emma realized that managing a successful initiative was not without its difficulties. The pressure to maintain the quality and effectiveness of the program began to take its toll. She had always been someone who prided herself on giving her best, but now there were days when she found herself physically and emotionally drained. Her team had been working tirelessly to keep up with the expansion, but Emma knew that they could only do so much without the proper support. She needed to bring in more help if they were going to continue to scale the program without compromising its success. One afternoon, as Emma reviewed the budget for the program, she received an unexpected phone call from David. "Hey Emma," he greeted her. "How's everything going?" "We're doing well, but I have to admit, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed," Emma replied. "We've expanded to more schools, and while it's exciting, it's also a lot to manage. I'm not sure how much longer we can keep up the pace with our current team." David's tone softened. "I get it. You've been working so hard. You've built something amazing, Emma. But you can't do it all alone. Maybe it's time to bring in more hands on deck, even if it's just temporarily, to keep things running smoothly." Emma had been thinking about this for some time, but hearing David's words made her realize that she couldn't keep carrying the weight by herself. "You're right," she said, sighing. "I've been hesitant to hire more people because I didn't want to take away from the program's integrity. But I can't keep doing everything myself." David reassured her. "It's about finding the right people. You can maintain the program's integrity while also ensuring that it grows in a healthy, sustainable way. I have no doubt that with the right team, you'll continue to make an incredible impact. Emma nodded, feeling a sense of relief. She had always been afraid to ask for help, but now she realized that delegating tasks didn't mean she was failing, it meant she was growing. That evening, Emma sat down with her team and discussed the need for additional support. Together, they worked on a plan to bring in new staff members who could help manage the increased workload. Emma knew that the next phase of the program would require more than just hard work. It would require a strategic approach to keep the momentum going. The following week, Emma met with several potential candidates for the new positions. She was cautious, wanting to make sure that any new hires would be the right fit for the team. She needed people who were as passionate about the mission of the program as she was, and who could handle the unique challenges that came with working in a community-driven initiative. After a few days of interviews, Emma found two perfect candidates, one to help with the logistics and administration of the program, and another to assist with fundraising and outreach. Both were experienced professionals who shared Emma's commitment to improving the lives of the students they served. As Emma introduced the new team members to the rest of the group, she felt a sense of excitement and relief. The team was stronger now, and she could already see the positive impact they would make. Over the next few months, the program continued to flourish. With the additional support, Emma was able to focus more on the big-picture goals, while the new team members handled the day-to-day operations. The students continued to thrive, and more schools reached out to join the initiative. Emma was finally able to take a breath and enjoy the success they had achieved. But even as the program grew, Emma never lost sight of what had made it all possible, her unwavering belief in the power of kindness and community. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Emma received another message from David. "Just wanted to check in and see how you're doing," it said. Emma smiled and quickly typed her response. "We're doing great. The new team members are helping a lot, and the program is running smoother than ever. It feels good to finally have a support system in place." David's reply was swift. "I'm proud of you, Emma. You've done something incredible, and I'm so glad you found the help you needed." Emma's heart swelled as she read the message. The journey hadn't been easy, but it had been worth every step. She had built something meaningful, something that was changing lives, and she had done it with her team and with the support of the community. As she sat back in her chair, Emma looked out the window, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. There would always be challenges ahead, but Emma knew that with the right people by her side, they could overcome anything. The program was no longer just her dream, it was a shared vision, one that would continue to grow and make an impact for years to come. As the months passed, Emma's program continued to flourish. More schools were joining the initiative, and the community's involvement had only deepened. Emma found herself in a place she had once only dreamed about, leading something bigger than herself, something that was changing lives every day. With the additional help from her new team members, the burden she had once carried alone was now shared, and she could focus more on the strategic growth of the program rather than the daily grind. The results were undeniable. The students in the program were thriving, improving academically, building confidence, and becoming more motivated to succeed. Teachers and parents sent heartfelt thank you notes, and local businesses continued to show their support. Emma knew they were only scratching the surface, but it was hard not to feel proud of what they had already accomplished. One afternoon, Emma sat down at her desk, reviewing the latest success reports when she was interrupted by a knock at the door. Sandra, the principal of the middle school, entered with a wide smile on her face. "I just got off the phone with the school district," Sandra said, her voice full of excitement. "They want to expand the program to even more schools in the district. They've seen the results, and they believe in what we're doing." Emma's heart skipped a beat. This was the moment she had been working toward, but it came with its own set of challenges. "That's amazing," Emma exclaimed. "But that means more schools, more resources, more responsibility. How are we going to manage all of this?" Sandra sat down across from Emma, her smile softening. "It's a big step, but I believe you're ready. You've proven time and again that you can handle whatever comes your way. With the team we have now, and the community support, I know we can make this work." Emma's mind raced as she processed the news. Expanding the program meant they needed even more funding, more volunteers, and more partnerships. It was a daunting task, but Emma had learned over the past year that nothing was impossible if they worked together. "We've come a long way," Emma said, her voice filled with determination. "And we're going to keep pushing forward. This is just the beginning." Over the next few weeks, Emma and her team worked tirelessly to expand the program. They secured more funding, reached out to new community partners, and began planning for the next wave of schools. As the expansion took shape, Emma found herself more and more inspired by the work they were doing. She had started this journey feeling like an outsider, uncertain about her place in the world. But now, she saw clearly how much they had accomplished and how much more they could do. Emma's relationship with David had grown over the months as well. He had been a constant source of support and encouragement, always there to lend a helping hand or offer words of wisdom when she needed it most. They continued to work closely together, each pushing the other to be better and do more. One evening, after a particularly long day, Emma sat in her office, reflecting on everything that had happened. She looked at the photos on her desk, pictures of the students they had helped, the teachers who had supported them, and the team who had worked tirelessly alongside her. It was hard to believe how far they had come. Just a year ago, she had been a waitress, uncertain of her future. Now, she was leading a program that was changing lives. The phone rang, breaking her thoughts. It was David. "Hey, Emma," he greeted her. "I just wanted to check in and see how things are going." Emma smiled, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. "It's going great. The expansion is coming along, and the kids are doing better than ever." David's voice was full of pride. "You've really done something incredible here. I'm so proud of you." "We've done it together," Emma replied. "I couldn't have done this without the support of the team, the community, and of course you." There was a pause on the other end of the line before David spoke again, his tone sincere. "You've made a real difference, Emma. You've shown everyone what's possible when you believe in something and put everything you have into it." Emma's heart swelled with gratitude. "Thank you, David, for everything." As she hung up the phone, Emma reflected on how far she had come. She had built something that was making a lasting impact, and while the journey wasn't over, she knew she was ready for whatever the future held. The program was no longer just her dream, it was a shared mission, one that would continue to grow and evolve. And as long as she had the support of her team, the community, and the students they served, Emma knew there was no limit to what they could achieve. With renewed confidence and a sense of purpose, Emma walked out of her office that evening, ready to face the future, knowing that the best was yet to come. In this inspiring tale of personal growth and transformation, Emma, once a humble waitress, rises to lead a community outreach program that changes the lives of countless children. Starting with a small yet meaningful act of kindness, Emma's journey takes unexpected turns as she navigates the challenges of managing a growing initiative. As her story unfolds, she faces numerous obstacles, from funding struggles to doubts about sustainability. But with unwavering determination, she perseveres, proving that kindness and hard work can overcome any adversity. Along the way, Emma finds support in unlikely places, including a millionaire who becomes her mentor, showing how one person's belief in her can change the course of her life. This is one of the most heartwarming millionaire stories you'll hear, highlighting the power of community, the strength of a leader, and the profound impact of one person's dedication. Emma's journey teaches us that no matter where we start, with the right mindset and support, anything is possible. Discover more millionaire stories like this one, where unexpected alliances lead to life-changing opportunities, and be inspired to follow your dreams. Emma's story is a testament to the idea that no dream is too big and no challenge is insurmountable, especially when you have the courage to take the first step. Dive into this incredible journey of self-discovery and perseverance, and experience a story that proves millionaire stories can come from the most unexpected places.